The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode.
It's the summer of 93 at 30.
All right, welcome back to the Brandon Peters Show, and first in the music video companion series to the summer of 93 at 30, and kicking this off with me, the beloved voice of the Brandon Peters Show from the Bob and Tom Show. I wouldn't kick it off with anybody else. It's Jessica Alsman.
Hello.
I called you Alsman. I said Alsman.
Okay. If you're from Michigan, it's like Alsman a lot. I get that.
Is it?
Alsman. There's only
Alsman?
one L, so I mean I get it. A-L-S, Alsman.
Alsman.
But it comes from Salzman, I think, or Saltzman. So
Oh.
there you go.
All right.
I know.
All right. So last time we did last summer was 82. You weren't alive yet. You were negative
Was not alive.
years old. And this at 93, you are alive.
I am. I'm like in kindergarten at this point.
Oh, do you have any like memories that you can recall from like the summer of 93 at all?
Probably chasing my neighbor around, maybe playing Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Okay.
or something, but I'm ashamed I didn't know Janet Jackson really well.
Okay, it's-
Like I didn't even know this song. I'm like, how did
You
I
weren't
miss this
pop
song?
culture aware. You might remember Jurassic Park, right? Because this is the summer of Jurassic Park. So
Yeah. I'm
dinosaurs were
trying to
around.
think what big song came out in 93 that I loved because I love top 40.
Yeah.
And this Janet Jackson had to be played on
This is
top 40.
this song we're talking about today is the like one of the biggest songs of the year.
So I
So
don't know why I didn't know freaking Miss Nasty or sorry, I'm totally just ruining this song. I'm not even
Oh,
doing
you're
it
fine.
justice. I'm not doing Janet justice.
right. All right,
But my
before we
gosh,
get
she looks beautiful.
Before we get
Beautiful,
to Janet,
Okay.
this is something I'm going to do this time around because I'm not just aimlessly recording these music video episodes. I know where they go now with each week, and I'm
Okay.
taking the time to put them together. So this week on the Monday episode that just was a few days ago, we discussed these movies, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, Dave, and American Heart. Have you seen any of those? Know anything about them? Remember them all. So
Dave, I watched a couple of years ago for the first time because
Okay.
my older boyfriend Johnny was telling me about it. I'm like, I've never even heard of this movie, and then like it was just on, and then I just couldn't turn it off. Which
Okay.
reminds me of a lot of great movies in the 90s. You know, it can be very, I don't want to say simple, but it, before CG and everything fancy,
Yeah.
it's like, this is just a good story. I'm just going to follow. Well, this is a fun story,
yeah. Well, it's,
But
yeah.
so I know Dave.
It's okay. Yeah. So yeah, Dave, this is one of the rock solid hits of the summer. It doesn't like destroy take the box office by storm, but it like hangs out, collects plenty of cash.
And I do remember the Bruce Lee
Mhm.
story. I do believe.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to think because did his son play him or
No. He died. His son dies just before that movie comes out.
Okay.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So I remember the Rents watching The Crow, and they would love telling the story. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but why are we watching a movie if this guy dies?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
You know, the
sorry.
craziest thing now about The Crow is, do you know who Chad Stileski is?
No.
He's the director of all 4 John Wick movies.
Oh, yeah?
He was the stand-in for Brandon Lee when they finished up The Crow.
So he's the guy my dad like, see, look, this is after.
His
'cause
face wasn't seen. They put over his face.
Aw.
So he was the guy who did that. So
Oh, random facts. I love it. That's
Mhm.
why I tune in.
Well, I did The Crow. So I found that because I did The Crow on this show like a couple years ago, and then not only did I discover that fact, but the guest on The Crow was Danielle Sepulveda, and she was in John Wick 1. So she's like, "What?" So
Oh my
she's like, "Oh my
gosh.
gosh!" She
That's
goes,
a
"Chad?"
fun-
She was like, "Chad?" I didn't know he did that. So it's kind of interesting origin story for him. But yeah, so those are the 3 movies. And American Heart's this Jeff Bridges movie with Edward Furlong about like it's a summer of like I have a shitty dad type movies. So
So what was
and we're trying to reconnect.
What was the similar movie that came out probably that same time that was
Well,
similar? It's
later-
like Twister and
Later this summer, there's Fatherhood with Swayze, and then there's that Getting Even with Dad movie that comes out with Ted Danson, and then Dutch with Ed O'Neill.
oh my gosh,
all these my dad sucks, but we're trying to reconnect kind of movies.
excellent.
So they all come out around the same time. But I don't know what Janet's thoughts on her father were, but many of the Jackson siblings, that's a segue right there, folks. Many of the Jackson siblings have thoughts on him. So we're talking about That's the Way Love Goes by Janet Jackson. It's a first of 2 Janet Jackson music videos that are going to happen on the summer of 93 at 30. And she's going to be in a movie that we talk about as well. Because she'll be in Poetic Justice. It's like the year of Janet. But this was a dominant track for the Casey Kasem chart in the #1 spot. So it's going to get very boring for those of you when I run down that top 10 every week on the summer of 93 at 30 and hearing Janet in #1. It's the leadoff single from Janet, period, that album. It was this was a huge deal because her record contract was up with her original label. So there was this huge bidding war. And then plus her wanting to distance herself from her family. So she drops her last name from that title. So it's just Janet, period. And she wrote all the lyrics for the album with minimal help. She wanted to be herself. And it's the first her first album to debut at #1. And if you remember, it's the one where she's topless and the guy's holding her boobs from behind.
Yeah.
And she likes it because she's smiling, right? That's why she's smiling.
Of course.
It had 9 singles. The other ones were If, Again, Because of Love, Anytime, Any Place, Throb, You Want This, Whoops Now, and What I'll Do. The album went 6 times platinum in the United States, selling over 14 million copies worldwide. She won a Grammy for this song for Best R&B. It was one of the longest reigning hits of 1993. The top in the Billboard Hot 100 for 8 weeks, and to date, it is the longest running #1 single of any member of the Jackson family on the Hot 100. So
wow,
she stuck it to Michael, the king of pop. Yeah. So yeah, this song. I mean, I remember this song. You remember this song?
I don't.
No.
And you know why? I just figured out why. So in kindergarten, I'm not even really riding the school bus because we only had afternoon class.
Mhm.
It wasn't the whole day. So I was driven to school and picked up by the parents midday, and they were classic rockers. So I was exposed to classic rock very early, and I don't think pop and the top 40 were necessarily hit me until first grade.
Mhm.
Because I remember recording the top 5 at 9 on my little cassette player. Play and record at the same time. And you'd be like Gillette, Mr. Personality, and then a lot of Salt and Peppa stuff. But even the early Salt and Peppa stuff I missed because I was learning about Bob Seger and Styx.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, this
is a fun song. I loved older Janet. By older, I mean later 90s. And
well, this was her coming out of her shell period, starts right here, because before this she was very costumed and wore this military outfit a lot for all her stuff, and now this is where she's exploring herself sexually or whatever. That period, people always freak out when it happens. Miley Cyrus had it, they all, Britney, they all, Christina Aguilera, they all do it. Madonna was always that way, but then just got more. She amped it up even more. And I long ago in a music episode, I think we were talking about, it was Mike Vanderbilt and I were talking about Garth Brooks and how he had this huge rise, and country in the early 90s had a resurgence or something. And he pointed out it's probably because pop was getting scary for the older white folk because rap was becoming a thing, and then Madonna was getting really sexual. Janet probably going from what she was to more sexual was scaring people off, and they go this safe little conservative country space, and that's when country sees pop, it gets a boost there. But this is where she's doing that.
Which even in this music video, I know the album, I remember being at the
Mhm.
bowling alley and that's in like the jukebox and you can like choose it. And it's like, oh, there's
Mhm.
Janet, whatever. Topless. My goodness. Scandalous. But in the music video, I totally get how people look how like seductive she's dancing, which is
Mhm.
so tame now. Like it's
Yeah.
nothing.
Oh, it's
What?
super tame.
Because she's kind of like doing like a body roll while she's watching herself in the mirror, and people are kind of kissing, but fully clothed. And like
Mhm.
there's some gyrating, but still not that much. So for them to be like, this is her, like, this song is so whatever.
And it's all slow too. So it probably, rather than her like group choreographed big dance numbers and stuff that were intense, this was slow and But you know what? People obviously things work because like this song was the highest debuting in Billboard history when it came out. It hit number 14 right when it started, and then it was the second fastest to number 1. It took 3
Wow.
weeks behind the Beatles' "Can't Buy Me Love," and the single itself went platinum. So it wasn't it wasn't turning people off. Probably a
Yeah.
loud minority if there were complaints, but
You know what? The best thing about the people that complain about music or anything they would hear on the radio, those are the ones that are listening, though. So it's like,
yeah,
thank you so much for
thank you.
listening constantly to
Mhm.
complain because every listen helps.
Yep. And that song samples James Brown's 1975 song or 1974 song "Papa Don't Take No Mess" and the Honey Drippers' 1973 song "Impeach the President." Those were put in there. But yeah, let's talk about this video. It's directed by Rene Elizondo, who was Janet's husband at the time, who also directs the Again video, which is the song from Poetic Justice. It's choreographed by Tina Landon, who legendary choreographer for music videos and all sorts of stuff. But it features Jana and friends just like hanging out with people, or hanging
Mhm.
out together, including Jennifer Lopez,
Yeah, I
who's
noticed that fly girl.
who goes super Latino with her Jana. Don't listen to us when we talking to you, like
Mhm.
or just listen. Oh yeah, it's like what? There's Jennifer Lopez, who will be a pop icon herself within a decade. Like it's crazy because this is the In Living Color Laker Girl backup dancer days. Like it's crazy.
That was awesome. I was like, is that a young Janet? Is that a young J-Lo
Yeah.
who's actually from the block? Would she
Yep.
still make eye contact with people at this time in her life? Yes. Okay, great.
Yes. Oh gosh. There's a weird sensibility to this video that's like interactive to a sense. Like it seems like this is a video where people are aware of people watching videos because like there's like a part where someone like turns the song on and turns it down and then like they like just like Tish, don't look into the camera,
Oh,
and
I
then like
loved it.
don't turn it off. I'm like, it's like, okay, this is a video where people know people watch videos and stuff. Like they mess with your expectation of watching a video lightly. Something I would, studying it, I'm looking at that, but like watching it, then I've been like, oh, this is fun. But yeah. So,
Yeah, I like that. I like the big giant speakers, the cassette tape to pop in. That's fun.
yeah.
I did like that Tish looked at the camera. She's like, you're not supposed to look at the camera. I love
Yeah.
that. Love it, love it, love it. Who was Tish somebody that we should know? Does that
Good
make sense?
question.
I was at first glance, I was like, oh my gosh, is that Kim Waynes? And it's like, oh, maybe not. Hold on.
Hmm.
Because I'm just trying, because I'm like, well, that's J-Lo. Who else is hiding in here in
Yeah.
plain sight that I don't recognize?
Yeah, I know J-Lo was in there, but I don't. Not
Probably nobody
sure.
else. I'm just
Yeah, and the credit at the IMDb page is just Janet Jackson and Jennifer Lopez as dancer.
which I'm trying to think how much dancing she really did in there, considering mostly just standing there and kind of slow dancing with one of the guys. There was smooching, a little Spider-Man kiss, I think, on the floor or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, it's a colorful video too. It's got this nice little kind of like rustic atmosphere look, but like it's very well lit and colorful.
Yeah.
But still looking cinematic and not like video-y like a music video. Like it's definitely got as lo-fi as it comes off. It definitely looks like there's money in it and talent in there. But yeah, it's just a soft little music video, but it's a song that gets caught in your head and it's really easy going. No surprise it was a big hit, huge hit. Just like, wow, okay. There's a lot of stuff, but there's
But
Janet.
You said how long ago was it before her people were waiting? You said so. This is her return.
Oh, well, no, sorry, it wasn't a return. It was a big
like,
album because her original record contract, she had fulfilled it, and it was like a free agent of sorts. So she, it was a big deal. And then this is like a relaunch of her as an artist too. So this is a big deal. So this was different. No, I don't know if the music style is too drastic a departure, but yeah, this is her finding her own rather than being like, female version of her brother.
Right.
Because this doesn't fit with Michael's. Her other stuff sounds like, oh yeah, this could be like a Michael Jackson B-side from pre this, and then yeah. She'll go on to have a dominant career in the 90s, like up until she's still popular this day, but that's that Super Bowl thing that really was the thing that
that messed up a lot of stuff with radio and TV. The FCC really started to crack down after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and
with her and JT.
Yeah, and her public appearances, presence was just gone, while his still climbed. It's just kind of crazy.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not. So this video though, the VMAs, that was the thing. That's what you went for back then. It was up for best female video, best dance video, best choreography, I think a couple other categories, but it didn't win any because this was the year that Pearl Jam's Jeremy like dominated, and then En Vogue's Free Your Mind also dominated all those other categories.
Okay, so I love me some En Vogue though. See, I didn't know En Vogue. Oh,
yeah,
man, maybe I just didn't have.
I gotta ask this.
I did not know Janet. I'm so sorry, Janet.
I gotta ask this because I've recorded episodes ahead of what this one is already, but one group I want to see if you're from SWV. Do you remember them at all? See, that's the thing. They were kicking ass this summer. They were like the girl. They have 3 songs that'll go in the top 10 throughout just this summer.
What's
with this
one song? Biggest song? SWV.
SWV. Let's see. Yeah, you put me on the spot here because I off the cuff asked.
Southwest Virginia.
Is that what it is?
idea.
Week was a huge song for them.
Never heard it.
Right here, I'm So Into You. They had songs for, You're Always on My Mind. Use Your Heart.
Oh my gosh, how do I not know them? I feel like I've seen this album cover.
Yeah, the album cover. Yeah, because
with the yellow triangle. Or yellow square.
Because it sold a ass load of copies. Yeah. So they hit a huge moment, but like they got surpassed by like, your En Vogue, Salt and Peppa. Like,
man,
like
that's who I knew. Gosh, TLC, Salt and Peppa.
TLC, yeah. Like, but SWV was right there, and they were more dominant at the time. So, right, especially during right now in 1993, they had their big moment. But yeah, so I was just curious. I'm like, wait a minute. I was talking about how I think you'll hear it either next week or the week after about how they were. I think they've been kind of forgotten through the annals of time.
Well, I'm going to play them, so
jam.
I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna listen to the Janet album also.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Well, that'll kick us off here with the summer's biggest song. There'll be some other strong ones coming later on, but till then, Jessica, you'll be back in a few weeks or so for another one. But until then, where can people keep up with you?
I am over on Instagram at Jessica Alsman, and Twitter at JN Alsman, or at the Bob and Tom Show, which you can find on the free mobile app or at bobandtom.com.
All right. And
how about you, Brandon? Where are you at?
Well, I'm on the Twitter and the Instagram at Brandon4KUHD. Written work at whysoblue.com. You can come back Monday for Scott, Aaron, and I will be talking Sliver and Hot Shots Part 2 and Carnosaur. And yes, Jurassic Park.
Carnosaur.
Jurassic Park is beaten to be the first dinosaur movie at the box office. So Carnosaur only played in 65 theaters. It was still out there. And we're going to talk about a film that was hitting festivals throughout the year and stuff like Water for Chocolate. So those are the movies. And then come back next Friday. We'll be talking Paperboy Diddy with David Banks. So till then, have a good weekend and stay film positive.
It's the summer of 93 at 30.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. The Summer of and News themes by Pres Maxson. Additional information on this and other episodes at thebrandonpetershow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at thebrandonpetershow.com. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.